It is absolutely beautiful outside today, which is crazy coming from me because I will never ever, I don't care if the sun is out, when it's the winter time, you will never catch me saying this beautiful out. So I'm walking to work, and I figured I'd just walk and talk to you guys. But I'm gonna pass this route first because there's a bunch of snow, and then I'll come back and we'll chat. Okay, I crossed the path. I am safe. I am good. Hallelujah. It was a lot of snow. But anyway, I figured I would make this video as I'm walking to work. I couldn't find my earphones, but I figured this is the perfect time for me to make this video because I've been saying that I wanted to make a video about my testimony. So this testimony is actually a very, very long time coming. I'm just gonna cross the street real quick. Thank you. This testimony is a long time coming. This is something that happened to me over 10 years ago. It happened to me over 10 years ago, and I never testified, which is really sad, to be completely honest. But I remember when I got through everything the first time I went to church, this one lady, she looked me dead in the eye. Shut up! LOL. While I was walking, my brother found me, gave me my earphones, and lo and behold, it was in his car. I knew it was. Okay, so to get into the, I was saying, there was one lady at church who told me, like one of the first days I came back to church after everything, she looked me straight in the eye and she said, you know you have to get it up in front of this church and testify. And I was just like, yeah, I will. At the time I was like 14, 15, so I didn't really understand what happened, and for a very long time I didn't really understand what happened, but I'll get straight into it. So when I was in grade 10, it was in March. It was around March. I had just turned 15 years old. Just a regular kid, going to school, nothing special. So, growing up, I always had headaches, but I never really thought much of it. To me, it's just normal. I have a headache, I pop Tylenol, whatever. Life goes on. I was at the point where when I was in high school, I was taking like 3 Tylenols at a time, which really and truly, I don't think that you're supposed to do that. I think and it was extra strength too. So really and truly, I don't think you're supposed to do that, but I was doing it because my headaches were so bad. Like I would always be just like head hurting, excruciating pain. Fast forward, March, when I was 15 years old, living a regular life, I wake up one day to the sound of my alarm, and I'll never forget, the alarm was literally Gold by Trinidad James. That was the name of the song that I used to wake up to. So, hi. So, my alarm goes off, and when my alarm goes off, I am completely like paralyzed from the face down. At the time, from the face down, when I say down, I mean like my feet as well. At the time, I used to sleep with my cousin who came from Africa. She came to live with us, so she stayed in the room with me. So I woke up to my alarm, and I just remember I could not move, I could not see, and I just remember feeling so warm, so hot. Like, I remember just thinking, am I like at home? Like, where am I? Like, it is so hot. I couldn't speak, I couldn't move, and I think I was shaking as well, because my mom came into my room at first, and she was panicking, because I guess my cousin saw that, like, I just wasn't like, I wasn't not moving, but I wasn't reacting to my alarm. She went to go get my mom. My mom came in my room. She's panicking, and I just remember my mom like standing over my body, and my dad was behind her. And as she's standing over my body, she's just trying to like scream my name, tell me like what's going on. And I'm just not responding. And I remember just having my eyes wide open because I could not see her face. It was so bizarre. I could see around her, I could see her body, but I could not see her face. So I remember my eyes were wide open. It was pretty quick. The ambulance came. When the ambulance came to get me, they put me into the ambulance truck. I don't know what it's called. They put me into the ambulance, and they transported me to CHIO, which is a children's hospital in Ottawa. When they transported me over to CHIO, they ran diagnostics on me. They ran a bunch of tests on me. I just remember my mom and my aunt being in the room with me, kind of just praying and just panicking. And so finally the doctor comes back in. They tell my mom and my aunt, hi. They tell them that I had a seizure. And I had bleeding inside of my brain. So I guess there was something that popped in my brain. I think it was, I can't remember exactly. I think it was a vessel or a vein. It popped, which created interior bleeding in my brain. They kept running diagnostics. They came back and said, we need to give her an emergency surgery. But we've never dealt with a case like this ever. This is a children's hospital. This doesn't happen to children. So I was then transported over to the Civic Hospital, which is a hospital. I don't know how it is now, but back when I was like 15, the only people who went there were like old people and pregnant people. They transferred me over to the Civic Hospital. Mind you, this whole entire time, I'm like in and out of sleep. Like, the energy just drained out of me completely. And every time I woke up, I was somewhere different. So they transferred me over to the Civic Hospital. And they at first said, okay, we're going to have to put a needle in her back. I'm not sure why. There's a lot of details to this story that I'm not exactly sure why things happen the way they happen. I would say, or why they decided to do certain things, because I was pretty young. And once I got out of the hospital, I never really asked any questions. Anyway, so they said they were going to put a needle in my back. While they were prepping the needle, they were getting ready to place it in my back. The doctor or the nurse who was supposed to place the needle on my back dropped the needle. Right after she dropped the needle, another doctor came in and said, we can't put that needle in her back because something really bad could happen. And just to give you guys a side note, at one point my mom was talking to me about that whole thing. And she was like, At that point, I had left the hospital. I can't remember where she went, but she just remember she was praying in the car. She just kept praying in the car. She kept praying in the car. Y'all, I'm not finna cry. I am not finna cry. I think it's just because I'm getting emotional because I miss my mom. But she kept praying in the car, and she tells me how as soon as she finished praying, she got a phone call from a doctor saying that we're going to put a needle in your daughter's back, but we aren't going to do that anymore. Kind of just to update her and tell her, like, yeah, the needle dropped. And if we had put it in her back, like, things would have went really wrong. So back to what I was saying. They transferred me over to the Civic Hospital. And, at the Civic Hospital, like I said, they determined that they needed to do an emergency brain surgery on me. This all happened in the same day. I don't know what the timestamps were because, like I said, I was in and out of sleeping. It was a lot going on, and I was extremely young. So, at that point, I don't really know what's going on. I'm young. The doctors are coming in. They're telling my parents they're going to have to do a brain surgery on me. They're telling me I'm going to have to go through brain surgery. That, like, literally in that moment, in that instance, like, they're about to transport me to go through brain surgery. Thank God it wasn't a brain surgery where they had to cut up my skull, but it was more so they cut me from my inner thigh, and they had this kind of tool that basically went up to my brain, and they put coils in my brain, and then they took the machine out. But it went well. So I just remember while they were transporting me over to get the surgery, I don't think I cried like once, but I think when they were transporting me over to the surgery room, I got very scared. And I just remember, like, my parents right, like, next to me, kind of just, like, holding on to the bar. And they were, like, so, like, scared. Like, my mom and dad were crying. Again, I'm not gonna cry. I just miss my parents. So it's making me a little bit emotional. But I had never seen my dad cry before. So my mom and dad were crying as they transported me over to the room. And I just remember, like, that scared me. Like, everything else was like, I don't really know what's going on. But kind of seeing my parents, like, crying scared me. So I just remember, like, kind of just having a tear on my face and just falling asleep because they put me under anesthesia. So they did the surgery. The surgery went extremely well. And when I got out of surgery, I guess I was just in that, like, area where they kind of monitor you for a while. At that point, my grandma had arrived from Montreal, so she came to see me. My parents were there. My dad. It was really something. Like, I remember just when I woke up and I saw my dad, like, he just started crying. And my dad was, like, such a strong, like, man. Like, if you know my dad, like you would never imagine, you know. So my dad, I took the wrong way. My dad was crying, and it was like he was coming towards me as if, like, I was so fragile and he was so scared. And I was just like, hi, Dad, like, you know, I'm fine. I was tired. Obviously, I didn't have that much energy. I had just went through surgery, but I kind of just seen him. He hugged me, and my mom saw me. She was emotional, of course. She hugged me. My grandma saw me. She hugged me. A lot of my family from Montreal came, which was really nice. Everybody was so worried. So once that happened, like I said, I was at the Civic Hospital. They kept me at the hospital for, I want to say, about 2 or 3 weeks. They had to monitor me. I also had like some tubes. I also had to take some medications and stuff like that. So I had to stay at the hospital for quite a while. I want to say 2 to 3 weeks. But I was fine. Like, more and more the days went by, I was fine. Like, I was getting my energy back. I was laughing. My friends would come and see me. I was like healing really well. As soon as they took the tubes out of me, because I had a tube for like when I had to go to the bathroom, they just had a tube so that I wouldn't have to get up and stuff. So once they took that out of me, I was literally like walking and running and jumping. Like, I remember my dad just seeing me and my friends, because when I was younger, I used to play a lot, y'all. I used to play a lot. So I just remember I had like that thing, that IV. I'm holding on to it while I'm walking in the hallways with my friends. And out of nowhere, I just started running. Like, I just started running and my friends started running after me. And it was just so funny. And I remember my dad just being like, you have to be careful. And I'm just like, I know, but I feel fine, you know? So, let me backtrack. So people would come see me. I remember this one uncle sitting me down while I was at the hospital and kind of just being like, you do know that like what happened to you was so big, they couldn't even deal with you at the children's hospital, because this never happens to children your age. And he was right. This never happens to children my age. Not only that, but there's a very high percentile of people who end up either brain dead, paralyzed, or so much worse, or even dead, because it's the brain. It's a brain aneurysm. You have blood literally leaking in your brain. So I remember him telling me that, and I was young, so I didn't really, I was young. All I knew was that I'm breathing now, you know what I'm saying? So I was just like, okay, yeah, like, I get it, like, thank you. And that's another part of this testimony, is that like it took me a very, very long time to realize and appreciate that like things could have been so much different for me, because I came out of there like what I was before I came in there. Nothing was wrong after the surgery, which is huge. So I guess that's the first part of my testimony. The second part of my testimony, because I feel like this is a testimony that goes beyond just the surgery, is that when I got out of the hospital, I didn't go back to school right away. So they had me on a kind of set schedule, because they didn't want me to be in a lot of like stress or strain. I don't know if they have any kind of quote unquote if they have any medications for people who've had aneurysms now, but before, they pretty much just told me, you need to take it easy, don't smoke, don't drink. Which, y'all, when I turned 20, I was really out here. And so, but that's another thing. So there wasn't really anything that they could tell me besides like, don't stress yourself out too much, don't try to handle anything too heavy, or don't smoke, don't drink, all those things. I'm just 15 years old. I don't even smoke, I don't drink, so it's whatever to me. I don't carry anything heavy, so it's whatever to me. I go back home. When I'm home now, I don't go back to school just yet. So I was, I wouldn't say I was homeschooled because my parents weren't my teachers, but I had teachers come to my home to work with me on schoolwork. Mind you, I'm in grade 10. So I'm learning from home now. And then after a bit, I was able to progress and kind of be able to go to school for like 2 classes a day, which I did. And then by the next year, I'm pretty sure I finished that year with the 2 classes per day. And then by the next year, I was back to school full time. So like the fall, September. But during that time where I was homeschooled, then I took 2 classes a day at school. And then in the summer, I took summer school. And then and then for the last 2 years of high school, I had to take a couple. Sorry, it's a bit noisy. For my last 2 years of high school, I had to take a few of my classes. I had to take a few classes down. So when I was in grade 11, I took a few grade 10 classes because obviously I couldn't complete like the full semester that I did. That I had to I had to catch up, right? So in grade 11, I was taking maybe like 1 class a semester in grade 10. And then in grade 12, I was taking, again, about like 1 class a semester of grade 11. And all that hard work, which I could not have done without my family, without God. Like I could have literally just had taken the entire rest of that semester where I had come out the hospital off. But I worked hard, I persevered. My parents helped me so much. My tutors, my teachers, I don't even remember who they are, but they came and they made things so much easier for me, to the point where grade 12 came and I graduated same time as everybody else. Like, that might not seem like a big thing, a huge deal to some people, but to me, like, that's such a huge deal because, like, despite all of that, I still graduated same time as everybody else, same time that I was supposed to graduate to begin with. So that was huge. And I guess that's another part, like the second part of my testimony, is that not only did God completely heal me, like when I tell you guys, I walked out of that hospital and I would have MRIs scheduled once a year, to then graduating to twice a year. No, I would have MRIs scheduled every 6 months, then graduating to once a year, then graduating to twice a year. An MRI is basically just like a scan to kind of make sure that everything's going good in your brain. There's no bleeding, there's no swelling. Every single one of my results came back clear. It's like that thing never happened. Granted, I did have one time where they did say that there was a bit of bleeding, but they had a meeting with the doctors and they asked for another scan, and that other scan came out completely clear. So it's kind of like it never happened, which is something that, like, I can't even explain. Like, I can't even explain to y'all right now. But yeah, guys, I feel like this is something that a lot of people don't know about me. Obviously, it's not something I parade around, but like to literally just be like walking, articulating my words properly, doing the things that I do, and I felt very, very bad for a while that I never, like, I think when I was in high school, I don't even think that I literally sat down and said, like, oh my God, thank you, God, for what you've done. Like, this hit me 2 years ago. That, like, Meva, like, what happened to you was not, like, normal, and you never even sat down and said thank you. And guys, this life that we live is not ours. These bodies are not ours. You need to be grateful every single day for what God does for you. He wakes you up in the morning. He has you literally walking, talking, articulating your words. God really, 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 really protected me, watched over me. So for that, I'm very grateful. And ever since it hit me, you know, what the kind of life that I was living, like, I'm not gonna sit here and act like I don't drink, because yes, I still do drink. But growing up, I was never really that close to God. You know what I'm saying? I just started building a relationship with him, I want to say 3-4 years ago. So, and this happened over 10 years ago. So, I'm not perfect, but I'm trying to right my wrongs. I never testified. I never told anybody about this. The only people who really knew about this were the people I went to. I don't even think, some people in high school might not remember, but like my family remembers. I know my friends remember. The people I went to high school with, some of them probably remember. It'll probably click like, oh yeah, Mabel was gone for a minute. Like, but yeah, that's pretty much what happened to me. How God genuinely saved me. And like I said again, after getting out of the hospital, guys, like, I grew up, I lived a life, I turned up, I drank, and sometimes I still do. I'm not perfect, but I try my best every single day. And now the difference is that I know what God did for me. Before, I just was so entitled. I think I felt like, this is my body. This is, like, you know what I'm saying? Nobody could have ever pulled me out from what happened to me but God. So for that, I'm grateful. And there are some other things, of course, but that is a huge chunk of my testimony. And I thank you guys so much for watching. I'm almost at work. I love you guys, and I want y'all to know that no matter what it is that you've been through, if you've never testified, it's actually okay. Like, there's no timeline to anything. Nobody's perfect. Just as long as you cultivate that relationship with God and you realize what you've done wrong and you ask for forgiveness. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I love you guys. I also want to add that if ever you feel like something unnatural is happening to you in your body, something that you have not dealt with before, and I'm just talking about headaches, knee pain, vomiting, anything, you need to go see medical counsel. And if they do not take your claims seriously and they persist, you need to push and advocate for yourself, because they will not do their 100%. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I was not the kind of child, it was just a headache. So, you know, you take Tylenol, you get over it. It wasn't really something I complained about severely, but maybe I should have, and maybe I should have gotten tested. or scans or whatever, they would have probably seen something. Regardless, everything happens for a reason. But I do think, and maybe it could have been prevented, maybe it couldn't have. This is something that I'll never know. But I do urge you guys to, if you feel like something unnatural is happening in your body, to go book that appointment, or even go the holistic route and plant-based, because I don't necessarily believe that medications are helpful. I feel like they are harmful, but everybody has their own opinions, and some things may be harmful, some things may be helpful, but I think it really just depends on what you believe in. So stick to what you believe in. If you feel like it's a holistic route that you want to go on, then do that, and do that 100%. But if you feel like it's a medical medications that you need to go forward with, then do that and do it 100%. But don't neglect anything that you feel like is different with your body. Okay, I'm gonna go now. I love you guys.